Welcome, everyone. Let's just jump right in. Today's explainer tackles a fundamental reality of our beautifully diverse world. Whenever unique cultures intersect, well, friction is pretty much inevitable. It's just human nature. But how do we actually turn that friction into progress? How do we build bridges instead of walls? Today, we're taking an analytical look at some historical blueprints for conflict resolution to figure that out.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We're going to start with when different cultures meet, followed by why resolving conflict matters. Then we'll look at how history bridged differences, outline 3 keys to unity, and wrap the whole thing up with morality, education, and peace. All right, section 1, when different cultures meet. Let's look at the big idea here. The curriculum we're looking at grounds its entire approach in a specific scripture, Matthew 5:9. Blessed are the peacemakers. And, this instantly shifts the whole mindset. We aren't just passive observers of conflict here. We're called to be active participants. The source frames this not just as learning some historical facts, but as an active, intentional pursuit of peace in our very own environments. Because let's be honest, here's the core reality. When cultures meet, misunderstandings are kind of inevitable, right? But so are massive opportunities for cooperation. The friction of diversity isn't just a problem waiting to be squashed. Actually, scratch that. It's not a problem at all. It's a spark. It is a spark for incredible potential and growth, and a chance to learn something entirely new. Which naturally brings us to section 2. Why resolving conflict matters. What are the actual stakes? Well, this brilliantly illustrates that if we just ignore cultural friction, that unresolved conflict literally weakens a community from the inside out. It breeds isolation. But on the flip side, when we tackle these differences head-on with respect and open dialogue, we unlock those amazing opportunities for growth and prosperity. The health of a community genuinely depends on which path we choose. And the really good news? We absolutely do not have to reinvent the wheel here. By looking at how past Americans worked through their own differences, we can take those exact same lessons and apply them to our relationships today. History isn't just a bunch of dusty dates and names. It's a highly practical blueprint. Folks before us faced massive cultural shifts, and they found ways to build thriving communities. We can totally do the same. That brings us to section 3, how history bridged differences. Let's look at some real strategies from the past. Historically, real unity didn't just magically happen. It took organized, intentional action across every single level of society. Take community meetings, for example. They weren't just shouting matches. They were structured, intentional spaces where both sides actually listened and worked toward a compromise. Schools actively helped immigrant kids adapt while celebrating their roots. And local leaders organized festivals and service projects to forge real common bonds. Zeroing in on education for a moment, we see this incredible historical balancing act. Schools equipped kids with the English language and new customs so they could navigate their new home, while at the exact same time, fiercely celebrating their own heritage. It was never about erasing a student's past, It was about adding to their future. And that kind of dual respect builds incredibly confident citizens. Outside the classroom, leaders leaned heavily into something pretty universal: human nature. They brought folks together through festivals and service projects to actively encourage cooperation. Think about that for a second. It is remarkably hard to hold on to a cultural bias when you're sharing some incredible food at a local festival or working shoulder to shoulder pulling weeds in a community garden. Shared public joy and shared public work effortlessly bridge the gaps between us. So what can we extract from all these historical strategies? Let's move to section 4, 3 keys to unity, the core insights. We can basically boil all those historical strategies down to 3 main pillars. Step 1, respect and listening are the absolute baseline. If you don't start there, you can't even begin the conversation. Step 2, schools must serve as a critical training ground for our youth to practice empathy. And step 3, actively celebrating diversity doesn't divide us. It actually weaves a much tighter, stronger fabric for the whole community. This brings us to our 5th and final section of today's explainer: morality, education, and peace. Specifically, we're looking at the HeroesMart Academy philosophy. The curriculum presents a really sharp contrast here between education with and without morality. It asks a pretty profound question. What is the point of raw intelligence, or memorizing historical facts, if it just leads to choices that harm yourself and your community? Raw intelligence without a compass is viewed by the source as somewhat dangerous. However, when learning is intertwined with a biblical moral compass, the curriculum argues that it guides your knowledge toward doing good and resolving conflict the right way.
And this whole philosophy is anchored in Romans 8:6-7, which promises peace of mind to those who maintain a spiritual focus. So the crucial point the source is making here is that a moral foundation is what transforms raw information into true, peaceful wisdom. It serves as the ultimate anchor for a well-educated peacemaker. So I want to leave you with a direct challenge. What is one lesson from history about resolving differences that you can apply today? Seriously, don't let this explainer just be a passing thought. Pick one thing. Maybe it's practicing active listening this week, or finding a way to celebrate a neighbor's heritage. Take this historical blueprint and step out as a peacemaker in your own community. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep building those bridges.